Hi everyone and welcome to today's video lesson. In this lesson, we'll be focusing on long division for ASVAB exams. Many persons who struggle with the ASVAB exams basically struggle with more simple topics than even the more complex ones, like fractions, decimals, factors. These are very simple topics, but they could be the difference between success and failure in arithmetic reasoning and maths knowledge. So if you are preparing for the ASVAB exams, you need to watch this video. This lesson is basically divided into three parts. In the first part, we're going to look at how to divide whole numbers using long division. Having a good understanding of long division is very important for the ASVAB exams because we are not expected to use calculators, right? So if you are using a calculator, you could just use the calculator to do your division. But once you don't have a calculator, you need to have a good understanding of long division. So in this lesson, we're going to focus on three areas. The first area is we're going to see how to use long division to divide whole numbers. Second, we're going to see how to divide decimals. And thirdly, in some of the questions I've solved with many of my students, there are situations where even if you know how to use long division, you might take a lot of time to solve a particular question using long division. So I'm going to show you at the end of the video a particular trick that you can use to solve questions that involve long division without actually solving using long division. Okay, so stay tuned to the end to see that hack. So first, let's look at how to divide whole numbers. Let's see an example. We are dividing 268 by 2. These are whole numbers. We are going to be dividing them using long division. Let's do that. So the dividend is going to be inside and the divisor is going to be outside. So this means we are dividing 268 by 2. So here we have a single digit. So we need to consider single digits first. So we consider 2. 2 can be divided by 2, right? So 2 divided by 2 is going to give us 1. Next, 1. So once you get this, this is where your answer is going to be, right? So once you get this, in order to continue the process, you're going to do 1 multiplied by 2, and this will give us 2. Once you get the number below here, you're going to subtract it. 2 minus 2 is going to give us 0. You can either write the 0 or leave it blank. You can just cancel it out because it's 0. So since you cancel this out, we bring down this 6. So we have 6 here. So remember we have a single digit. So we'll try to divide it by this single digit. 6 divided by 2 is going to give us 3. Once we get 3, we're going to do 3 multiplied by 2. We're going to get 6. And then we repeat the process of subtraction. 6 minus 6 is also going to cancel out. You can write 0 or you can just cancel it out. You bring the 8 down. Now 8 is going to be divided by 2. 8 divided by 2 is going to give us 4. 4 multiplied by 2 is going to give us 8. 8 minus 8 is going to give us 0. So once we get 0, this becomes our final answer. So this means the answer to this question is 134 using long division. Next, we're going to see a situation where the first number is less than the divisor. Let's look at it. So over here, we have 267 divided by 3. We go through the same process. 267 divided by 3. So the divisor is a single digit, so we consider single digits first. So when we consider 2, 2 divided by 3, 2 is smaller than 3, so we can't divide 2 by 3. So since we can't divide 2 by 3, we are going to join 2 and 6 together. So this becomes 26. So 26 divided by 3 is going to give us 8 because 3 times 8 is going to give us 24. 3 times 9 is 27. 27 is bigger than 26, so you can't use 3 times 9. 3 times 8. Okay? So once we've gotten 8, we do 8 multiplied by 3. This gives us 24. And then we subtract. 26 minus 24 is going to give us 2. And once again, 2 divided by 3, it's not possible. So we have to bring down 7 to make it bigger than 3. 27 divided by 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 minus 27 is equal to 0. So this means 267 divided by 3 is equal to 89. Very simple. Next, we are going to look at a situation where the last digit is 0. So here we have 280 divided by 4. 280 divided by 4. So just as we did in the previous example, we consider 2 divided by 4. Since 2 is smaller than 4, we cannot divide. So we join the first two digits together, 28. 28 divided by 4 is going to give us 7. So write down 7. 7 multiplied by 4 is going to give us 28. Minus 28 minus 28 is going to give us 0. So cancel out. Is this our final answer? No. We have a 0 here, so we bring it down. Okay. 0 divided by 4 is going to give us 0. And 0 multiplied by 4 is going to give us 0. 0 minus 0 is equal to 0. So some students get confused when they have this extra 0 here. They don't know that they are supposed to bring it down and divide it by the divisor here. So that's one mistake I've observed with individuals that I've worked with. So the final example in this section is to see how to divide whole numbers by another whole number that leads to a decimal. So here we're going to consider 150 divided by 8. A whole number is being divided by a whole number. But in this example, our answer is going to be a decimal. 150. Okay. So first we check out the first digit. 1 divided by 8 is not possible. So we combine the first two digits. 15 divided by 8. That's going to give you 1 because 8 times 1 is 8. 8 multiplied by 2 is 16. 16 is more than 15. So 1 times 8, 8. Now we subtract. 15 minus 8 is equal to 7. So 7 is less than 8, so we bring 0 down. 17 divided by 8 is going to give us 8. 8 multiplied by 8 is 64. 8 multiplied by 9 is 72, which is more than 70. So 8. 8 times 8 is 64. 70 minus 64 is going to give us 6. Now we have 6 divided by 8. There is no number to bring down. So we need to make this number bigger than 8. How do we make it bigger than 8? By introducing a 0 here. A 0 that did not exist before. So since we introduced a 0 that did not exist before, we're going to put a decimal point here to compensate for that. Now we have 60 divided by 8. 60 divided by 8 is going to give us 7 because 8 multiplied by 7 is 56. 7 times 8, 56. And then we subtract again. 60 minus 56 is going to give us 4. Still, we have another situation again where we need to introduce a 0. But here, we are not going to add another point. Although we are going to put a 0 here, we are not going to introduce another decimal point. 40 divided by 8 is going to give us 5. 5 times 8 is going to give us 40. When you subtract them, they cancel out. So in this particular example, we can see that a whole number divided by a whole number produces a decimal, 18.75. Okay, so in this section, we have seen how to divide whole numbers by whole numbers. In the next section of this video, we're going to look at how to divide whole numbers by decimals and decimals by decimals. So now let's look at this example. 92 divided by 2.3. 92 divided by 2.3. We can see that we are dividing using a decimal. So whenever you have a situation like this where your divisor is a decimal number, what you need to do is convert the divisor to a whole number. So 2.3 can be converted to a whole number by multiplying by 10. Whenever you multiply a number by 10 or a multiple of 10, all you need to do is move the decimal point once, depending on how many zeros you have. So if you multiply by 10, since we have 1 0 here, you're going to move the decimal point once. So we're going to have 23. Okay, so by multiplying by 10, 2.3 is going to become, so by multiplying by 10, 2.3 is going to become 23. But just as you multiply this side by 10, you also have to multiply this side by 10 in order to balance everything out. 92 multiplied by 10 is going to give us 920. So now we have 920 divided by 23. So whatever answer you will get when you divide 92 by 2.3 will be the same answer you will get when you divide 920 by 23. The only difference here is you can easily use a calculator to get this, but for convenience sake, since you are not expected to use a calculator for the ASVAB exams, it's better for you to convert it this way to make your work easy, right? Okay. So we have 920 divided by 23. 9 divided by 23 is not possible, so we put the first two decimals together. We now have 92 divided by 23. 92 divided by 23 is going to give us 4. 23 plus 23 is 46, plus 23 is 69, plus 23 is 96. So we have 4 here. 4 times 23 is 92. 92 minus 92 is going to cancel out, but we have a 0 here. Just as we did in one of the previous examples, we bring the 0 down, and then we do 0 divided by 23 is 0. 0 times 23 is 0. When you subtract, it will cancel out. So this means 920 divided by 23 is going to give us 40. This also means 92 divided by 2.3 is also going to give us 40. So what have you learned in this example? Whenever you are dividing and your divisor is a decimal, all you need to do is convert it to a whole number, and then also convert the dividend to a whole number before dividing using long division. Okay. Before we go ahead to solve some practice question for the ASVAB, let's try one more example. Looking at this example, we have 4.25 divided by 0.05. So this is another simple question where you're dividing a decimal by a decimal. Our initial focus is on the divisor. We want to convert the divisor to a whole number. Converting the divisor to a whole number, we move the decimal point twice. 1, 2. So that also means multiplying it by 100. And this will give us 5. So since we multiply by 100, which means moving the decimal point twice, we're also going to move the decimal point twice, multiplying by 100. So now we have 425 divided by 5. So looking at it this way is easier than solving it this way. So now we can go ahead to solve using long division. 425 divided by 5. 4 divided by 5 is not possible, so we combine the first two digits. 42 divided by 5 is going to give us 8. 8 times 5 is 40. Subtracting, 42 minus 40 is going to give us 2. 2 divided by 5 is not possible, so bring down 5. And now 25 divided by 5 is going to give us 5. 5 multiplied by 5 is going to give us 25. And this cancels out. So our final answer is 85 is equal to 85. So this is a simple way of dividing using long division. Next, we're going to look at a question where it might be difficult for you to convert from this way to a whole number before dividing. In that situation, I'm going to show you a quick way of getting your answer when you're taking the ASVAB test. Let's look at this ASVAB practice question that we have here. So in this question, we're going to see the quick trick I talked about earlier. Question says, if Kyla left a $10.45 tip on a breakfast that cost $87.25, what percentage was the tip? So we have options here, right? We can use proportion to solve this question easily. Now, this is the amount that was left as a tip, and it is a percentage of the entire amount. So we can write 10.47 all over the total amount, which is $87.25, is equal to, do we know the percent? We don't know, so we call it X all over 100. So the tip over the total amount is equal to X, which is the percent all over 100. So you can cross multiply. 87.25 multiplied by x is going to give us 87.25x. 10.47 multiplied by 100. Earlier I said that when you are multiplying by 100, you move the decimal point twice. So we are going to have 87.25x is equal to 1047. 100 has two zeros, so we'll move the decimal point twice. So it becomes 1047. So to get x, we divide both sides by 87.25. So divide by 87.25, divide by 87.25. So now you have a situation where when this cancel out this, you're going to get the value of x, right? Now you have a situation where you need to divide this number by a decimal. If you go by the example we did earlier, you need to move the decimal point twice here and then you add two zeros here. Then you go ahead to divide. But there's another way we can quickly do this. Let's look at this scenario. If you have 10 divided by 5, this will be equal to 2, right? If you do 5 multiplied by 2, you're also going to get 10. So this divided by this will be equal to one of these options. We don't know what it is. But if you do any of these options multiplied by this, you're expected to get the numerator. Just as if you do 5 multiplied by 2, you're going to get 10. If you multiply this by the right option, you're going to get 1047. So now our job is to try to figure out which of the options is likely to be the correct answer. So let's look at it. 8.3 multiplied by 87.25. Both values have decimals. It's very unlikely that you multiply a number with a decimal by a number with a decimal to get a whole number. So this is not a likely option. Let's look at this other option. This is a whole number. If you multiply by 87.25, are we going to get 1047? Let's try. 8725 times 12. 2 times 5 is 10, so 0, we bring 1 here. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 2 times 7 is 14. 4 here and 1 here. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 1, 17. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 8 is 8. 0 plus nothing is 0. 5 plus 5 is 10, so we'll put 0 and bring 1 over here. 1 plus 4 is 5. Plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 7 is 14. So we'll put 4 here. I will bring 1 over here. 1 plus 1 is 2 plus 8 is 10. So we have this value here. But remember, this number has two numbers behind the decimal point. So you also check out two numbers behind the decimal point. So the number we have here is 1047. 1047. This means 12% is the right answer. So if you find it difficult to divide numbers like this, what you simply need to do is use the denominator to multiply the likely options and then see which one is going to give you the numerator. The one that gives you the numerator is the right option. This will help you avoid mistakes when you are doing long division, especially for very large numbers. But if it is a whole number, you might not need to do this trial and error method because it's very easy to divide whole numbers by whole numbers. Thank you for watching up to this point, and I hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you have any topic that you're struggling with for the ASVAB exams, you can leave the topic in the comment section, and I'll try my best to create a video tutorial on that. Thank you once again for watching up to this point. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Have a wonderful day. Bye.